What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. We're just going to go on pause for just a second. Hold on here. Okay, that's better. That's better audio sound. I noticed not the right microphone was being used, so I wanted to make sure that the experience is the best for all the audience live on the replay. So let's do it again. Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that collaboration last year, I was able to reach out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world last year. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live today on October 23rd, and in Toronto, it's like a spring day. It is so wonderful outside, and people saying, why inside here? You should be out enjoying the spring weather. Well, the reason I'm inside here is Black Canada Talking. And Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes and POVs on stories that are of importance to them. Also, we get to showcase great Black Canadians, not only to Canada, not only to Black Canadians, but to people all around the world. So we have another new friend for you today, Stacy Destiny Savary. A little bit of background on her. For over 21 years, she has been a noteworthy leader within her community, providing social support and outreach, especially within her Caribbean community. From working at homeless shelters, grassroots organizations, to coordinating children's camps, mentoring programs, and outreach events for at-risk youth in disenfranchised areas in Toronto. She has also had a passion for working with marginalized groups, specifically women and youth. While she has had a passion to help others, she has also faced numerous health challenges that required her to pause and seek her own healing. She has been diagnosed with endometriosis, a disorder where the tissue that makes up the uterine lining, the lining of the womb, grows outside the uterus. Endometriosis is usually found in the lower abdomen or pelvis, but can appear anywhere in the body. Despite her challenges, she vowed to maintain a positive and has maintained a positive balance and fulfilling outlook on life. And through all her trauma, struggles in dealing with an incurable disease and disabilities, she has managed to share her life journey through her book called The Perfect Storm, Navigating the Storms of Life in Messy Waters. So I'm sure she's going to talk a little bit, or she's going to share a little bit with her book today and a little bit about herself. So let's bring up for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, Stacy Destiny Savary. How are you?
Thank you, Dr. Vibe. It's such a pleasure and honor to finally be on your show.
Oh, what do you mean finally? You make it sound like I've been holding you back. Stop that.
No. I honestly think we were destined to meet. I truly believe that.
Well,
And
that would make sense with
yes,
the name Destiny,
destiny. Yes, I go by
right?
my social media name. Everybody knows me. Facebook, 5,000 friends, 3,000 on this, 1,000. I just got on TikTok. I don't know. I'm not a twerker, but I have something to share. And
Excellent.
it's such a honor to be on your platform, Dr. Vibe. I've been waiting a long time for this, so thank you for having me.
Well, it's our platform. It's not my platform, because if I did, I
Ooh,
don't do it for myself.
okay.
I do it everybody, and I always want to make sure that it's bigger than me,
Mhm.
because if it's only about myself, that's not me. That's not African heritage. So
Yes.
I try to do the best I can with what I got, because what I
Mhm.
got's good enough. But yes, we've been going back and forth for a little while in regards to you having on Black Canada Talking. And I know it was a few weeks ago. We're usually on Clubhouse every Tuesday night on a group led by
Yes.
Danny Stone and others. I can't forget Coach Lovemore.
Yeah.
There's Nicole
Nicole
Waldron.
Waldron, yes.
There is Chandler, and I know
Chandler.
there's a few others, and I
Ooh.
forget them because it's my head, not my heart. And
Mhm.
Destiny was sharing her story, and I said, you know what? Come on my show. I just said, right. I don't think she extended me to just be so direct. I said, come on my show. So
Right.
that's why she's here, because I asked her to come on the show. Because she said, oh,
Yes.
this, that, and the other thing. I said, no, no, let's, yeah. And we did it right then in their family. Wasn't
Right.
playing. We did it like that conversation right there. The date was nailed. Everything was done. Like bam, bam,
Right.
bam. So
Right.
it's a blessing to have you here. And people, especially if you're watching live, please feel free to make comments,
Mhm.
ask questions.
Mhm.
She will try to answer them to her best ability in real time. And
Mhm.
we're looking forward to a great conversation today. So what I like to do with all friends that come on the first time is, can you share some of your background? You gave a little bit. I shared a little bit of your background during the
Okay.
intro, but what
Right.
else you're willing to share about your background before we get a little bit deeper into your current
Right,
journey?
right. Well, and just in terms of, I live in Mississauga, Ontario now. I migrated to Canada actually to Oakville, the very first place I came to Canada as an infant child. I was probably like a year and a half, 2 years old. Was Oakville, Ontario. I migrated. My parents migrated from Trinidad and Tobago. I was
TNT.
born in yes, Trinidad and Tobago, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and it's just been an honor and a privilege, I would say, privilege for me to live in Canada, especially at this time in my life where you come from a background of like West Indian parents. You want to your children to go to school and go to university and get a good education, and obviously to have the things that they didn't have. But for me, I was always about academics. I was a well-around student in school, and I always strived for academic success. Unfortunately, during the time, I didn't know that I had a condition and a chronic illness and pain. So even though I strive to be a social service worker, a social worker, and I worked in the field for more than 20 years, I was always taking time off, requesting time off during a certain time of the month in that regards to my menstrual cycle. Basically, my whole life has been planned around my menstrual cycle.
Wow.
So yeah. So Dr. Vibe, as you see me, and you haven't in a sense seen me on Clubhouse, but you've seen my pictures and my videos, and then this is the first time you're seeing me face to face. You would say, "Oh wow, you look like a well woman. You got yourself together to be on this interview." But it really did take some ibuprofen, some painkillers, the preparation. I'm in constant pain. My back, even to sit in this chair, I don't have like one of those fancy chairs, the that's as you, but I have to prep. I have to make specific accommodations, and also during the years from elementary school to college, I've been losing my hearing. So I am considered a person, they say, disability. I don't consider myself, and I don't see it as a disability or limitation. I just, I don't wear hearing aids, actually. So it's like made, I've adapted. And that's the same thing I can also see from, like, again, from coming from a Caribbean country to Canada. You have to adapt, and that's what I've done in everything that I've done. My work, in school, my personal life, my relationships. I've adapted.
There is so much we can get into already. I'm going to pick some things and I know you'll expand on them.
Hmm.
When when did you recognize
Hmm.
that you had health challenges? At what age?
So as early as 10 years old,
Okay.
as early as 10 years old, unfortunately, I was in and out of the hospital. I'm a petite person, so I'm 5'1", 5'2" with heels, but I'm a very petite person. I was born premature, but around between 8 to 10, that's when I was hospitalized in the majority of the year. And the reason being is at one point they thought I had childhood epilepsy because I kept on fainting, but it wasn't childhood epilepsy. Um, I had very low hemoglobin, and at that time, I as developed as a young woman, I got and going through puberty, I had my menstrual cycle. So around 12, I was losing blood, but not getting enough blood, oxygen in my blood to replenish. And so from 12 to now, it's been a constant battle, a war, I would say. Talk about it's messy, navigating a messy storm. It was messy from the beginning, from 10 years old.
Especially when the early time, the early part of this journey, how who provided you support at that young of age?
Well, at that time, I was raised by a single mother. Unfortunately, my mother, my father separated as when they came to Canada. But my mother, and that village, she supported me with my aunts and cousins and different people around me. It was, but I remember one. If I could might share briefly, I remember like my mother going to the groceries in Etobicoke, and my mother can see me. We're talking and laughing. And my mother just sees me like convulsing in the back seat. My mother drove to Metro to a walking clinic. Black woman, 5'2", picked me up, carried me up 40 stairs, and said, "My daughter's dying. I need help." And that's where that journey began of in and out of the hospital. And unfortunately, for the longest while, my mother did it alone. As my brothers and my sisters got older, they were able to help in terms of, it's just, but as you can see, like again, it truly is an invisible thing. It's something that we didn't even know. My mother didn't know them times, right? And the doctor just kept on giving me these pills, these little green pills, and in West Indian culture, you have to take your fish oil and this oil and that and stuff. But all those things, I think surely she did her best for what she had. A young woman, working in CIBC, and she did the best. Daycare, camps, but she's really surrounded. I lived in Ridge. You know Ridge? Remember Ridge? Back in the Ridge, which is in the 80s, one of the worst places to live, like in terms of high crime, shootings. I remember dodging bullets coming from daycare, like with some really serious times in the 80s and the 90s. But she did her best, and she basically healed me with natural home remedies and
Uh-huh.
things that she would do or she saw her mother, my grandmother, until my grandmother came and helped her out and helped look after us. My grandmother was, make those teas and the cocos and the things and the soups and things that would basically soothe me. And eventually I got off of medication as a child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is your mother still alive?
Yes, my mother's alive. She is 60, 61, over 60, and she's going strong. And tell you, she's actually healthier than me. No health, no. She has no health ailments. Nothing. She works out at least five times a week, eats healthy, and she is one of my role model in terms of health, wellness, and fitness, and holistic health, natural health.
I want, if you can, to just tell me what your mother means to you.
Hmm. Um, my mother is a Dr. Curtis.
It's
My
okay.
no,
This is a safe embrace space,
it's
so
like I
no
said,
problem.
it's been a long journey. I'm over my 40s now, so imagine more than 40 years, birthing a child and having that, she's had other children, but having that one child, you just have to kind of look after, like look into a little bit more, help a little bit more. Unfortunately, in my life, I felt like a burden to my mother, but I have to know in myself that my mother is truly my savior and one of the reasons why I'm still here today talking to you. Um, She has gone. She's been at the hospital. She sat there with me. She sat there through the surgery. She's picked me up from surgery, left her work, basically um, helped me recover in those surgeries, and then go to work and do her normal, at home, um, you know, motherly and wifely duties. And I honestly don't know how she's done it, but I've come to a point in my life when I say, you know what, Mom, you've done so much for me so far, but now let me take that baton and let me do it. So what I've done was I've solicited friends and other family members, and I have a multidisciplinary team that comprises of doctors, specialists, um, naturopaths, and also friends that people who can drive me to and fro to my appointments. So my mother, like I said, she's a savior.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. As you were going on and you're like from 10 years old, like share with us how you've had to challenge this. So, like I want to look in phases like 10 years old, your teenager and youth days, your youth. So how has the impact or how has it changed or impacted your life over the years? And how have you had to change over the years?
Right. And that's a wonderful question. So, as a young child growing up, like I said, I was highly academic, and a lot of people don't know this, but I'm a gifted child in the sense of they actually made a specific curriculum for me in elementary school. I didn't learn what the kids were learning. I probably should have gone to what do you call it? One of those art schools, arts, dance, whatever, because I had that in me. And so as a young child, I said, you know what? One day I didn't wasn't about, oh, I want to be a doctor or lawyer. I wanted to be a change agent. I wanted to be at one point I wanted to be Mother Teresa. And you know why? Because I saw her one day um, on the um, on the television, and she was giving a child some water and like feeding her out of like nothing in Calcutta. And I'm like, mommy, I want to do that. I want to help people. I want to be a change agent. And I did that, but in a sense, I feel like I fully haven't tapped in and done it into the capacity I would. I wanted to. The reason being, Dr. Vibe, is because every time I start something, which would have been like go to college, I finish. I want to do my degree. I start, stop, start, stop. I went to Redeemer University. University. I went to Bible college. I went to. I also work. I did some missionary work and some things with Youth for Christ, Youth Unlimited, and everything I had to start, stop. So you asked me, how did I change? I had to, like I said, everything was involved around my menstrual cycle. And unfortunately, I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and to a point where I could no longer work. I basically had to bow out of ministry. I basically had to stop working in social work in Toronto. And I basically had to stop that, what do you say, that rat race of that in terms of my thing was, okay, I'm going to become a social worker. I'm going to uh, move up in the rankings and then eventually, make that money and create change within an organization. I did the best that I could within the organization, obviously, as you know, with funding and with the government's funding start, stop. It's not necessarily the best. Social work may not be in terms of financial, right? But I still stuck with it. I said, no, it's not about the grants, and it's about the people and the children and the youth. And I poured my all into it. I developed a little ministry program called Girls Unlimited and Girls for Destiny. And a young woman just met with me the other day, my mentee. I call her my spiritual because I don't have any children, unfortunately, at this time. But she said to me, you know what, Stacy, you remember that time you took me to camp? She's like, that changed my life, that really did something for me. And you didn't know around that time, but my mother was really sick and I was taking care of my mother and I was trying to do school and whatever. And I said, you know what? It's so funny because when I was in the school, they told me that you were a troubled kid. You're not listening. You're not compliant, defensive. And let me tell you, that child to now, I've been in her life. She's in like almost 30, like, and I'm just in awe of how I took being a social worker, being a youth worker, being present in the school, taking the children's camp, being present, teaching children's church camp ministry, taking children to Mexico, taking children to Africa. I did the best with what I could, but I had to get to a point where if I taking care of other children, God's children, I believe, I neglected myself. I neglected the time that I should have looked about and get a proper diagnosis. I was running and taking care, and also at that time I was married, and I was taking care of a husband, a ministry, a stepson, kids at camp. Like it was, and I basically burnt myself out, and I was confined to bed for 30 days. That's how it started. 30 days in bed, and I couldn't
Wow.
move.
Wow. So many different ways we can go here. All
Yeah.
right, let me look at it this way. So after those 30 days being in bed,
Mm-hmm.
what did you say to yourself?
I
Actually,
felt.
not two part. Let
Yeah.
me just
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
let's talk about how reflect back on those 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that first. How what was going on in your mind, in your soul during that 30-day period?
Um, in that 30 days being in bed, having to quit university, having to quit ministry. And the only valuable thing that I had at that real time, which was I had control over what I thought was my relationship with my husband. But I was feeling that unfortunately I might have to leave him because I'm not getting the type of support and just again in sickness and health, for rich or poor. Um, and I could understand and said it really is a lot for a man to be working also full time, for a female to be working full time, and not being able to. Again, he would drop me to appointments and all that. And but at the same time, I realized then in that 30 days that even though I married my best friend and my high school sweetheart and whatever, some men, some people are not competent enough to help take care of me. So I made that choice that I was going to leave during that 30 days.
Wow, very big.
Mhm.
What other decisions, if any, did you make during those 30 days? Because that's a very significant one. I don't know if any others you had made during that time.
And
Like
that,
what sort of did you have any other reflections?
um, I uh, I cried out to God because I'm a very spiritual woman in a sense. I did have faith that I was gonna get. I was going to have that perfect family and those perfect little children, and I wasn't not necessarily about the white picket fence and all that, and the house in Brampton and with two kids and all that, and a minivan. It wasn't about that. For me, it was like God. I feel like my dream is shattered. Like I'm so sick. I'm hemorrhaging, bleeding, and they can't find what's wrong with me. That's where I said, okay, the doctors are saying, oh, I'm all black, all, not literally said to me, my very first doctor who was when I went to, not all, you know what, some, not all black women. Some of my patients I know, oh, everyone has fibroids and cysts and these things. That was the first time I heard about a fibroid and cyst. I said, okay, nobody could, it took them years to connect the dots, even down to the point where, like I said, I left my family, I left my husband, I left the country. I went back to Trinidad and Tobago while my divorce was being finalized. And I'm like, God, wow, why? Like, I served you. I did ministry. I took care of your children. I took care of your sheep. And this, and there are days where I still question, ask God. Unfortunately, now knowing what I have, endometriosis, and now being diagnosed with endominosis, I can't even pronounce that one. Another thing, I'm like, what? There may not be a possibility for me at this point, Dr. Vibe, unfortunately, for me to have children. I've had to come to terms. with that. And I remember in that bed 10 years ago thinking my life would be over if I can't be a mother. And 10 years right now, I kid you not, this past summer, they tell me there may be a possibility you will not be able to conceive naturally. If you do get pregnant, it may or will result in a miscarriage. And if you do that, it will be countless like trauma and trouble. Like I'm like, what? 10 years ago, I had a feeling, I had that inkling in me. I'm like, what would I do if I can't? Dr. Vibe, I'm at this point. And I'm talking to someone today. I'm talking to a young woman. I don't know who this young woman is, but I'm just saying, please, I tell everybody, don't wait. It really is not that important. Please, as Black women, as women in the US and Canada, across the world, please, we're so equipped to take care of everybody but ourselves. And I did. I did.
Wow.
And I'm paying that price now.
After the 30 days was up, what was your mindset, and what what changes or what action steps did you say you would put in place for the next part of your journey?
I went through my breaking point. I hit a breaking point. And I think God sometimes wants people to go through a breaking point in a sense to know that to only I could depend on him. I know there was a lot of people around me, even my own family, my own mother. Why would you leave your husband? Why would you leave? Like, why would you do like? And I said, I don't know. And then years after, about 7 years after, when I was diagnosed, I told them this is why I left to save my life. I left you all to save my life. You all did not believe me. No one believed me. The doctors did not believe me. The nurses didn't believe me. The specialists didn't believe me. I left to save my life. So in that 30 days, I decided, Dr. Vibe, I'm going to live.
I like that. So, with that statement, I'm going to live, what did you say you're going to do to reinforce and supplant that statement?
To live, every morning I have to get up. I thank God for breath and life. But every morning I wake up in pain. Every morning I ask God, I said, okay, can you just give me the strength to get through this day? Because I don't know what a day might look like, Dr. Vibe. I may make it around the block. I may make it to go pick up my meds at a local shopper drummer. I may make it to an event in Toronto that everybody would love me to attend in my gown and my makeup and in my crown. I was crowned Emancipation Month Queen this past August, and that was very vital for me because I realized, you know what? No, we're not emancipated. After how many years, we're still not emancipated. I'm not emancipated, especially in this healthcare system. As much as I adore and love my country of Canada, that I would be forced to leave, unfortunately, at this point to go seek counsel and help and treatment, proper care in another country where I would have to pay. No, I'm not emancipated, Dr. Vibe. I could wear a crown, I could wear a sash as Emancipation Queen, but I'm not emancipated.
You brought up that you've had to make the decision, or you're making the process of making the decision of going elsewhere or outside this country to get the help that you need. What what answers, or what is the current situation in regards to getting the help that you need within Canada? Is there
Sorry,
anything there?
sorry, can you say that again?
Just saying that in Canada, it seems that you're not getting the help that you need health
Right, the
wise.
help, yes. Okay. Yeah. So when I say the help, like unfortunately, as we saw during the pandemic, there was lack of services. I was speaking to my doctor online, just like I'm speaking to you. I didn't necessarily talk video, but I would have conference calls with him through an app. And thank God for apps and technology to still be able to connect. But I wasn't able to get the proper test blood tests, ultrasound, these things that you're supposed to do yearly or every 2 years. For example, it's like getting a breast exam, right? In terms of you're supposed to check these things, prostate cancer, whatever. You guys, we're supposed to test these things. So what I felt like not being able to get the proper access, excuse me, excuse me, not being able to get the proper care, it delayed, not only delayed, now with the, I'm sorry, with the um, vaccine that I've taken, now I'm bleeding 15 days out of the month.
And
My blood,
there's nothing in place
nothing
to help you with
nothing they
this.
can do. There's nothing that they can do to stop that. Plus my blood pressure, and I have everything on record. So let's just say today that if anybody wants to come for me and anything, I say I have everything on record. Before the vaccination, I had got my monthly cycle between 7 to 10 days, 7 to 12 days. It's 15, and I've been blood clotting, unfortunately. And I was telling them something's wrong. Post pandemic, that's what they said. You know what? You have a mass around your ovaries and this. I'm like, what? In 2 years? How can I get on? Like into the last time I did on a test was 2 years ago. How is this possible? And they said, oh, you know what? Right now, my second book is going to be called In the Eye of the Storm because Dr. Vibe, I'm in the eye of the storm. They want to do another surgery. Unfortunately, with endometriosis, an average woman go 1 in 10, an average woman who has endo in Canada and the US will have 5 to 7 surgeries. 5 to 7. I'm on my third.
Again, so many things. 5 to 7 surgeries. So let me ask you, you're on your third. After each surgery, are you getting better?
No, I'm not. I thought, and I feel misled because 5 years ago, my first surgery, if you read the book, The Perfect Storm, then you'll know how that panned out. But 5 years ago, I feel deceived. I feel led on. Oh, first surgery, second surgery. Oh, they told me you will be able to have children. Now they're telling me, no, didn't the specialist like, oh, didn't the doctors tell you that? Oh, yeah. So I said, just tell it to me straight, please. She's like, you may not be able to have children. And if you are, what I suggest you do is go to IVF clinic right away or look into surrogacy, freezing your eggs with the money I don't have right now. Like with this automatic money that's going to drop from the year, $50,000 or more to freeze eggs. Again, you just can't spur things on that like to people. I honestly felt in August I had a mental lapse. And this is where endo and how my mental health is affected. As a strong Black woman carrying so much things, again, having to show up and to do everything for everyone, I've come to a point where I said, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to live and I'm going to protect my time and my space. I learned that during the pandemic. Oh, it was great when I was in my sacred space in my room. But at the same time, Dr. Vibe, thinking that I'm healing myself, eating the right things, or the right therapies, or I did specific therapies, cupping, and all the abdominal massages. I spent that one. I must have spent between last 2 years between like $10,000 to $15,000, literally, just on therapies to get this new diagnosis. All that you just spent didn't work. And I'm at this point where I said, you know what? Cut it out. Cut it out.
Wow. Serious decision.
And I'm only giving a small, specific amount of time to do it. what my decision would be.
So have you made this decision?
So, like I said, I'm in competition in prayer and fasting, and I made a decision to look about the mass. They said they found the mass and polyps, and they don't know if it's a tumor. They don't know if it's ovarian cancer, but they have to go in. So to save my life once again, Doctor kills my to save my life once again, Doctor Vi, I'm not given a choice. They will take out. I will have some sort of hysterectomy, partial hysterectomy, full hysterectomy. It's what they do. They can take out my whole womb if they see in the surgery that
Oh my
I
gosh.
will be at risk. I signed off to that. So yes, unfortunately I signed off.
Wow.
And this is what I want to talk to you today, because
Okay.
unfortunately I found, and my research has shown me, I can back up stats. If anybody wants to talk to me after, no problem. If you want to email, text me, I am destiny@gmail.com, or you can contact me on Facebook or on Instagram. Kid you not. Unfortunately, on the other side of the world, it's not even an option. I know women who have gone into surgery not even knowing an emergency surgery and come out with no womb, no uterus, no nothing. I've known women who are Black women, women of color, indigenous women, women who, like, again, a South Asian woman, people who are not white, not white Canadian or Caucasian, have been set in a place and said, you know what, we have to do this, or we're going to do this, or they do it, and there's no choice. My thing is, during the first surgery, I remember the doctor say coming back to tell me I had endometriosis. I remember her looking down and she couldn't look at me and my mother in my face. And I said, what's wrong? She's like, well, you're gonna have to take these pills for the rest of your life. She gave me, and I'm like, that didn't last very long. But she's like, she wouldn't look me in the eye. And I said, what's wrong? She said that, well, we went in, but we had to leave something. We had to. There was a large polyp or something on my left ovary, but she's like, I couldn't get to it because then I would disrupt your whole system. So I left it. And I said to myself, why would you leave it? You said you got the lesions, you got like you got the polyps, you got the endo. Why would you leave that? I'm thinking the first thing myself, I'm gonna be in pain. So knowing that, 5 years now, here we are. That's
Mm.
I'm going back to that same doctor
Same doctor.
who operated on me, and I'm going to have a serious conversation with her. And I'm sorry, Dr. Biden, I'm going to have to tape it or something, because again, I think what's happening is they need to be held accountable. I'm sorry, you knew this 5 years ago. I know I didn't sign off for hysterectomy then, but this could have been done. A partial hysterectomy, or remove my ovaries, or check for ovarian cancer. All these things could have been done during the first surgery.
Okay.
Are you
Let's do a little.
understanding? Are you
Yeah.
understanding what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Understand.
Sure.
Let's do a little quick reset here. We're talking with Destiny Savary today on Black Canada Talking. Want to say hello to some people who are watching live. Shout out to Ryan Singh. Thank you so much for watching live. Got some shout outs here coming from Fitnance IQ Cam says good evening. Question here from the family here. How do you deal with the mental stress of all of this?
That's a very good question. Um, During the pandemic, it was really hard not being able to get access, and that truly put me into a depression. I would have to say, but because I wasn't surrounded with my family and different people, and I was basically holed up. Everybody was home on lockdown. I was working from home, and how did I cope? I to tell you the truth, it was pills. It was pills, and I'm glad to say today I did wean myself off of those pills again, and I realized not everybody can take those type of pills. I know there's specific pills for mental health, and if you exemplify like you're bipolar or you have anxiety. I've had high anxiety, high panic anxiety, stress, like panic attacks where would end me up in the hospital or I faint. And when my blood pressure goes through the roof. And to tell you the truth, how did I manage the stress? I was popping pills until I went to a friend and a confidant and that person who is my partner now. And I said, I gave him the pills. I said, I don't want to, I know I don't want to take these. And he kept accountable. And I tried other ways in order to manage the stress.
Yeah, this is quite a serious conversation here. Let me ask, have you thought of taking any legal action?
At this point, being denied 7 times for any type of disability, short term or long time, I think I'm ready to get a lawyer.
And push back on me if this is anything too personal, private, but how economically are you getting by each day? You've shared with us the physical challenges, some of the
Right.
physical challenges, but we do live in a capitalistic society. And how do you get by each day economically because you're not able to work full time?
Economically, I for the last 5 years, thank God, I've been working with specific organizations in Toronto that would allow me to be more flexible with my schedule, being a facilitator, workshops, and doing workshops online or from home when we transition to the online world. And but other than that, the book has been a great resource and has allowed me to branch into the world of speaking, of virtual speaking, and literally becoming a health influencer and patient advocate, and asking, and then being asked to speak, and then being paid now to speak. So, but besides that, if I didn't have my family and my friends, unfortunately, I taking out of their pocket to basically help me to pay for my medication and doctors and all these things that I need, then I wouldn't survive.
Another question. This one is from Facebook. Leslie McEwen, who's on monthly on the Morning Vibe, which you can catch 9 a.m. on Friday and Monday and Friday mornings with myself and
Mhm,
Ryan Knight. And Leslie comes on once a month, talks about different areas of mental health. She's been a
mhm,
registered and licensed psychotherapist, Black
mhm.
psychotherapist for 30 years. Her
Okay.
question is, does race ethnicity influence endometriosis?
Does race ethnicity influence endometriosis? Okay, so endometriosis is uncurable disease, right? In terms of maybe let's reword that question in sense of how how the time which I was diagnosed, me as a young black woman living in Canada, I would say that race did. If I was a young white woman living in Canada, I believe that I would have had a faster diagnosis. So that's what I can say on that part. And I'm speaking again from my personal experience. I believe, unfortunately, the male white doctors I've seen over the past 10 to 15 years have contributed more damage than good, to the fact that now when I see a male white doctor or I'm in the hospital, eh, I am traumatized. I do not let them touch me. A male nurse, Caucasian man, was giving me blood, and I started to have an anxiety or panic attack. I, they had to get somebody else, a person of color, to do my blood work. That's how bad it is.
Hear you. IQ says, I'm glad you
Thank
made it
you.
through.
Yeah,
Sharon is saying, thanks for
thank you.
sharing your story. So let's talk about that, sharing your story. Let's talk about the book,
Mhm.
Perfect Storm, Navigating the Storms of Life in Messy Waters. Give us a little bit of background on that and how it came about.
So I have beautiful friends. They're part of my support team. I have beautiful friends who they own a boat and they yacht and sail on Lake Ontario in Canada. And I was being invited to the yacht club, and I was on the boat, and I was sleeping. The captain told me I could go to the underground and take a quick nap, and somehow I fell asleep during a storm, and they were like putting on sails and stuff, and I'm sleeping peacefully, and I get back up and the sun's out, and they're like, um, "You slept through a storm." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." Like literally, like, and I was like, it came to me there. Every time I go on that boat, something the whole analogy of the perfect storm, the movie The Perfect Storm, about basically when two storms, like when basically when a storm collides, and that storm could be that storm that can take you out. But my perfect storm is brewing. Someone said in the chat that I'm glad you made it. I'm still in it, honey. I'm still in it. I'm still in the perfect storm. And right now, I'm in the eye of the storm, I believe. The best place to stay, what I learned from the captain and using sailing analogy, is basically the best place to be is in the eye of the storm, because everything was going to be destroyed around you, but you're in a safe space. And I feel like I'm heading there. This surgery could be that eye of the storm.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really to take that perspective in regards to what you've been through and what you're going through right now. You're
Right.
still in the storm.
Right. And so my book, The Perfect Storm, it's a small, quick read. It became a bestseller during the pandemic, and I'm so grateful and thankful for everyone who has supported me up to this time. I just want to thank you for purchasing it. But at the same time, what I want to say is it was just at the beginning of of healing and coping. Again, I'm going back to my mental health. How did I cope? I wrote, I journaled. So the book is actually comprised of several journals that I used during the time of my in and outs of the hospital and my run-ins with navigating the storms of life in messy water. My storm is navigating the healthcare system in Canada as a Black woman, right? So that's why I made that subtitle. It is messy. Right now, the healthcare system is messy. During the pandemic, before the pandemic, it was messy. It's still messy. But it being messy, we really have to keep our government officials. We have an election coming up tomorrow. We need to keep our government officials accountable. Like, I pay taxes. I vote for you. I went to school. I don't have a criminal record. I identify as a person with disability. I've been on OW. I've attempted to get some sort of ODSP, and I think they said I don't qualify. And one of the reasons they said that I don't qualify is because I don't exhibit enough mental health. Meaning I can still, yes. They said to me, I could, my last time went all the way to tribunal. I don't exhibit any time of mental health, therefore I can still work.
Oh, okay. Interesting thought process going on there. Leslie from Facebook also said health disparity at work.
Yes. Um, I don't know what more to tell you, Dr. Vibe. I can say that yes, I can encourage people, especially caregivers. And what I want out of this book was the same thing that I shared in Clubhouse. That just sharing my personal story, as messy as it is, especially the taboo around women's menstrual cycles, what's happening below the belt, and you know, periods and these things that unfortunately, um, I don't know what more to tell you to say that it literally took me the longest time to be brave to even to come on these shows, to
Mm-hmm.
write the book, to write the story, and to put myself out there. Because when I put myself out there, I realized that it's, yes, it's healing me, it's a sense of relief, but my main purpose was to help someone else. So by hearing my story today, but please Google endometriosis, please go Google endominosis. A popular celebrity who's come out with that recently is Gabrielle Union, the Wade. If you go on Oprah, their full story of and how she went through surrogacy and all that. um, Jamie Foxx's daughter, Corinne Fox, just did a documentary, Below the Belt. Hillary Clinton is one of the main sponsors from the U.S., and that's going to be showcase. Below the Belt is basically a documentary of different showcasing everyday life of what a woman goes through endometriosis. And I really hope I'm going to be able to see that in March. And but there are days where I feel like I'm not gonna make it. I don't know. I feel my fear is that I'm going to bleed out or I'm going to die and I'm not going to be able to share, or not even share, but to leave that lasting legacy that I wanted. My purpose is to not be able to work, to not be able to go out with my family, to constantly having to tell my friends, you know what, you guys go out without me. It puts a strain on you, put a damper on you. You don't want to be the party poop. You don't want to be the person like, oh well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm at home in bed. Oh, what are you doing? I'm here with a heating pad. Oh, sorry, I just took my medication. Or it's not a good time. Oh,
I understand. In light of what you just shared in the last few moments, what keeps you going?
pardon me.
In light of what you just shared over the last few moments, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I really have to reassess that one because there are days, like I said, it's very lonely. And what keeps me going is my faith, my family. I have a person I'm involved with now. He's amazing. He's my support. He's my rock. He goes with me to the hospital. He goes with me to my appointment. He stays with me. He holds my hand. What keeps me going is knowing that I will make it to the other side. As I will make it to the other. Even though I'm in a perfect storm, I'm gonna make it to the other side.
What changes, or what are some of the changes you'd like to see, not only for your own personal journey, but for other women that are in this journey?
For other women, I would say that there are women out there who their families don't even know that they have this type of condition. I think we as women need to stop hiding and we need to tell people what we need and what we want. There are a lot of women out there who are, they would say, classified as hormonal or, menopausal, these terms that we say about, oh, well, oh, she's on her period, or you can't talk to her. Um, I think we need to get to the point where we, we're so good at masking. We're so good at masking. We need to take off the mask. I've had to take off the mask, and I've had to really deal with the inner part, not only the psychological, but I believe that what has happened to me in the past in terms of trauma, what I've seen, what I've gone through, relationships, divorce, all these things, abuse, spiritual abuse from the church, everything I've been through has I didn't speak. So as a woman, I took it in. Some women take it in, it goes to the breast. Some women take it in, it goes to the lungs. Some women take it in, it goes to the womb. I took it in and it goes to my womb. So if I can encourage any woman right now, like in terms of managing stress and self-care and self-love, just knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, but at the same time, just letting go of that ego and asking for help, telling people, you know what? I need help. I need some assistance. I don't know why I'm bleeding or hemorrhaging, but you know what? Can you just take me to the doctor? Can you take me to another doctor? Can we go to another specialist until I get a right answer? You have to fight. You have to fight for this. You have to fight to live. You have to fight to get a diagnosis. I had to fight. It took me 10 years. Some women even more. Please, sis, when I say please, don't waste another day. Just go. Ask for help. Don't be prideful. We can't do it on our own. We need each other.
Thank you for taking the time out of your journey to share with us today in regards to what you have been through, what you are going through, and what you may have to go through in the future. And I'm a full believer that you're here for a reason, not a season.
Amen. Amen, Dr.
For,
Vibes.
for those who want to get in contact with Destiny, we have it on the screen here. Instagram is at Destiny underscore Savary. And
Yes.
then Facebook is Destiny Savary. The book title is called Perfect Storm, Navigating the Storms of Life in Messy Waters. It's available on Amazon, and you can check it out there. And I'd like to say thank you for not quitting. Very important for not quitting, and more than happy to have you back at any time. Please keep me updated on the journey, because it's not only impactful to you, but through you and many others that need to know that don't know. So thanks again for taking the time. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And Dr. Tachi from the US says this is critical, important information.
Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you, Doctor.
yeah, so the global family says thank you, and they're cheering for you.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day, and
You too.
don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace.
Well, thank you, Dr. Vibe, for having me. Have a blessed day.
Right back at you. All right, family. Powerful conversation from Destiny today, and it was great. And I'd like to say thank you for everyone, all the family that caught it live or catching it on the replay. Excuse me, it's appreciated and not taken for granted. So, Black Canada Talking, it's on at most Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, Sharon, Fit and Anti-Q Cam, Hagos. Thank you, Dr. Tachi. And just but if you want to watch the best online show in the world that covers media, tech, and pop culture, definitely check out Dr. Tachi and Curtis on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Instagram. That's when Dr. Tachi opens up the media scope, gives a quick little highlight bullets of it on Instagram Live. Then at 6 p.m. Live, they go on YouTube, Facebook Live, all different platforms, even in the Caribbean. So they're all around the place. So definitely catch out Mediascope wherever you are online. So as always, I'd like to say thank you for everyone who took the time to watch and share with us. If you want to catch, let me do some things here. You can catch replays of Black Canada Talking at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and at my website, www.thedrvibeshow.com. If you want to get in contact with me, website, thedrvibeshow.com, email dr@thedrvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter, at Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram, The Dr. Vibe Show. Also, one other thing, if you would like to promote your business or service on the show, please feel free to contact me via email at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. So as we wind out here, I think there was just one more. Sharon says, inspiring show. Thank you so much. So this is what we do. And it's just me. It's what we do as a family. All right. I want to encourage you, wherever you're watching this, subscribe. It seems that most people watch on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll get alerted on all the upcoming conversations, epic conversations that we have here. So I want to say, as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Oh, actually, I said one. I got to go forward. You can catch me Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, Monday and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific on the Morning Vibe with myself and Ryan Knight. And these days, it's Sunday evenings again. Saturday or Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. We do State of Things with Aisha Jill, and Lala. And these wonderful ladies, Black ladies from the United States, discuss all things political and social in the United States and sometimes internationally. Now I'm done. So this is how we end off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourselves grace. God bless. Peace to well. Keep the faith and walk good.